today we are going to make chicken enchilada soup. I am making my soup for like 2 people to have some leftovers. So that's what this recipe is for. I'm gonna do 2 chicken breasts. Usually I would do a chicken breast per person. So if you're making more, just kind of adjust. You'll just really need to adjust your amount of chicken broth and maybe your enchilada sauce, depending on how much you like that kind of flavor. But it's for 2 people. So I'm gonna start by heating up my Dutch oven, which is this type of pot, with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a diced onion. I don't like onion, so I chopped mine super fine. I did half of an onion and I diced it super fine, but just half of an onion, chopped however you like it if you like onions. And I'm gonna get that warming up in my pan. While the onions are kind of cooking here in the oil, I'm also going to add some garlic paste. Probably about that much. Measure with your heart on garlic. I don't actually ever measure it. And then I'm just gonna add that in. I also pre-measured my spices. I measured them twice. I'm going to use one of them, it's the same amount, which is 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. I'm gonna use 1 to season the chicken and 1 to season the stuff here. So we're just going to dump this all on top and let that get nice and colorful and flavorful. And while that's doing that, we're gonna season the chicken. Okay, so I have my 2 chicken breasts. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on each side and sprinkle, that's about to go all over. Sprinkle some of this seasoning on one side. And this is just personal preference. You could just season the onion and garlic. I just happen to also like my chicken to be seasoned as well. I'm very much into flavor. And I should have done that all with my left hand because now I'm having to do this with my left hand and it's a mess. But that's okay. It's going to get messy in the kitchen. You got to be willing to make a mess. Okay, so now my chicken is all good and seasoned. Okay, now that this has just cooked down enough, I'd say the onions are translucent, but we seasoned them, so you can't tell that anymore. Now I'm going to add a can of enchilada sauce. I'm doing the big can. I would rather use more of this than the chicken broth, so I'm using the big can of enchilada sauce right in there. You can use whatever brand you want. That's the brand I like. I'm gonna start with 2 cups of chicken broth, and I'm gonna put my chicken in. I think I'm gonna end up doing 4 cups. If you're using a smaller can of enchilada sauce, I would do 6 cups of chicken broth, but I think I'm gonna do 4 because I'm using the bigger can. All right, so I've got the chicken broth in here, my chicken in here, and I'm going to bring this to a low boil and let my chicken cook 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how thick your chicken breasts are. So I'm gonna just raise it up to about an 8 and put the lid on and bring it to a boil. Okay, my timer is almost up. These have been going about, turn that off, about 16, 18 minutes, and I am just going to check, without burning my hand, the temperature of the chicken. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we are good. My chicken is it was at like 168, so I can pull it out and start shredding. While I pull the chicken out and shred it, I'm dropping the heat down on this. You can go ahead and get your amount of liquid that you need now to add to your masa. So I'm doing about 1.5 cups of my liquid to 1 cup of masa. And you just want to mix this in a separate bowl because it gets really clumpy. And you don't want it to get clumpy in your pot. These would be harder to stir. So I will pick this up and show it to you, but I put this in a middle bowl and it's really hot to the touch. So that's still a little too thick. I'm just gonna add more liquid. And I probably should have put it in a bigger bowl. Dogs. Okay, stopped being stupid. I transferred that to a bigger bowl and one that was not so hot. And I've just been stirring, just getting this really well incorporated, the masa and that broth. And in a minute, we're gonna add it back to that, but I'm gonna shred my chicken first. You could shred your chicken with a hand mixer, with a chicken-aid, with 2 forks. Normally I would use a hand mixer or my chicken-aid, but I feel like that makes the chicken like long and stringy, and I don't, like for nachos or whatever, I like that, but for soup, I'd rather have more palatable bites. So I'm giving this, that's working against me, like a chop here. More of like a rough chop, bigger pieces that you're gonna get on your spoon. So I'm gonna chop these. Okay, now that you've got your chicken chopped however you would like, it's fine. We're just going to add it all back to our pot. So I'm gonna add like a little bit at a time, and we're also going to add our shredded cheese at this time too. So I'm gonna add that masa in to that hot broth. And as you can see, like it is, if you can see, it's a little bit clumpy, but it's not like it was when we put it in that bowl. So it's definitely better to mix in a separate bowl. Get it really well incorporated. I'm actually gonna do all of the masa before I add the chicken, just to make sure it all gets really well mixed in. I'm just gonna scrape that all in. So we're just stirring that in, getting that really, really well incorporated. And then I'm going to add about half of my cheese. Oops, I want that to go swimming away. About half of my cheese. I did turn my heat back up to like medium. I have it on a 4. So we're just stirring, 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 so that this isn't all one big cheesy clump. The kids are getting ready to make s'mores because it is a very, very cold day here in Texas. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and dump the chicken in, and then I will see what I want to do about the cheese. It is quite stringy at this point. I'm gonna switch spoons. So I've added all of the chicken and just stirred it really well. I might add a little bit more cheese. We are a cheese-loving family. And so I'm going to add a little bit of that, but I'm going to save some to just top our individual bowls for fun. We're going to let this just kind of stay on the stove and stay warm and just kind of get really well incorporated. And then when you're ready to serve, you can top it with some little tortilla strips, some extra cheese, sour cream, avocado. The bowl of soup is your playground. Top it with what you will and enjoy. All right, here's the finished product. I added the tortilla strips and a little bit of cheese to mine, and it is delicious.